Okay, so we've got this article about Pi Network,
Right.
this cryptocurrency that everyone's been talking about.
Yeah.
And it's really interesting, right? Because it seems like it's either going to be the future of finance or it's like too good to be true.
Right.
And so you want to do a deep dive on this and see if we can figure out what's going on.
Exactly.
So what is it about Pi Network that's got everyone so excited?
Well, I think the thing that's really captivated people is the accessibility of it.
Mhm.
Traditionally with cryptocurrency like Bitcoin, you think about mining and it takes all of this energy,
Yeah.
all this computing power.
Huge mining rigs and all that.
Exactly. And Pi Network has this whole idea that you can mine it on your phone.
Right, just using your smartphone.
Yeah.
Which, I mean, that is appealing, right? Because it just seems so much easier and like anyone could get in on the ground floor potentially.
Right.
And the article was really emphasizing that aspect of it. Like this is a way to get in early on, something that could be huge.
Yeah.
But then it also kind of had this tone of like, is this legit? You know, like, is this actually going to work or is this just all hype?
Yeah. And that's, I think, a healthy amount of skepticism to have anytime you're dealing with something new in the crypto space.
Yeah.
But to kind of address your point about it being potentially huge, the idea of anyone being able to just mine on their phone,
Yeah.
that could be massive for adoption.
Right. Because it just lowers the barrier to entry so much.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
if they can pull it off,
Yeah.
it could be a game changer. But
Yeah, there's always a but, right?
right.
What's the catch?
Well, one of the things that the article mentioned that kind of gave me pause is that they haven't actually launched their mainnet yet.
Okay, so for those of us who are not like crypto experts,
Yeah.
what is Mainnet?
So mainnet is essentially when cryptocurrency goes from kind of like a beta testing phase to being a fully operational independent blockchain.
Got it.
So before they launch on mainnet, they're usually running on what's called a test net, where they're trying to work out all the kinks,
Yeah.
make sure everything is running smoothly.
So Pi is kind of like in beta right now.
Exactly. It's
Yeah.
still in that testing phase, which means it's not really interacting with the real world in the same way that like a Bitcoin or an Ethereum would.
Okay, and that matters because,
Well, for one thing, it makes it really hard to determine what it's actually worth
okay.
because it's not being traded on any major exchanges.
Ah, I see.
It's kind of operating in its own little bubble right now.
So even though the article mentions that Pi has like millions of users,
Right.
which sounds impressive,
Yeah.
it's all kind of theoretical until they launch this Mainnet thing.
Yeah. I mean, you can think of it this way. Until it's on a public blockchain and people can see all of the transactions happening,
Yeah.
it's kind of like a company claiming to have millions of dollars in revenue, but refusing to show you their financial statements.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense.
It's hard to know how much to trust it.
Right, it's like, where's the proof?
Exactly.
Okay, so we've got this cryptocurrency that's got millions of users,
Right.
but it's not on a mainnet, and it's not on any major exchanges.
Right.
So it's very difficult to determine what its value is, if any,
Exactly. And that makes it a very speculative investment.
which then leads us to the next big question, right?
Yeah.
Is this thing even safe?
Right.
Like the article talked about some security tips, which is obviously important if you're dealing with anything financial.
Absolutely.
And I think especially with something like cryptocurrency where it can seem so technical and complicated already,
Yeah.
like you're already kind of in this world where you're like, I don't really even understand like what a blockchain is,
Right.
but I'm just going to trust that it's all going to work out.
Exactly. And I think that's what makes the security aspect of Pi so crucial
Mhm.
because they've made it so user-friendly, which is great.
Right.
But it also means that you might have people who are new to the whole cryptocurrency scene who aren't aware of the potential risks.
Yeah, it's like you've never driven a car before and someone's like, okay, here are the keys, go have fun. And you're like, wait a minute,
There's a lot more to it than that.
I should probably learn how this thing works first.
Right. You got to know the rules of the road.
Exactly.
But it's the same thing with cryptocurrency.
Right.
So having those security tips laid out in the article is super helpful.
So speaking of security tips, the article kept mentioning this thing called a passphrase.
Yeah.
What is a passphrase? Is it different from a password?
That's a great question, and it's something that trips a lot of people up.
Yeah.
So your passphrase is basically like the master key to your Pi wallet.
Okay.
It's a string of words that's unique to you, and it's what you use to recover your wallet if you ever lose access to your device or your account.
So it's even more important than your password.
Way more important because if you lose your password, you can usually reset it. But if you lose your passphrase, your Pi is gone forever.
No pressure there.
None at all. So the article really stresses the importance of storing your passphrase securely offline in multiple locations.
Oh, okay. So you don't want to just like keep it on your computer?
Definitely not, especially with all the hacking and phishing scams going around.
Oh, yeah, phishing. That's where they try to trick you into giving up your information, right?
Exactly. They might send you an email that looks like it's from Pi Network asking you to verify your account or update your information.
Right.
And if you click on that link, it could take you to a fake website designed to steal your login credentials or even your passphrase.
And then they have access to all your pie.
Exactly. And because Pi doesn't have like a publicly traded value yet,
Right.
people might think, oh, it's not a big deal if someone gets access to my account.
Yeah, because it's not like they're stealing actual dollars from you.
Right. But if Pi does take off
Yeah.
and suddenly your Pi is worth something.
Then they hit the jackpot.
Exactly.
Okay, so this is a good reminder to our listener. Be very careful about phishing scams.
Absolutely.
Don't click on any suspicious links. Double check the URLs of any websites before you enter your information.
Right.
And never, ever share your passphrase with anyone.
Your passphrase is for your eyes only.
Exactly.
So treat it like you would treat a winning lottery ticket.
Okay, so we've talked about the security risks.
Yeah.
But I think the big question that everyone wants to know is,
What's it worth?
exactly, is this thing actually going to make me rich?
Right.
And the article had some pretty interesting things to say about that.
It did. I mean, they were throwing around some pretty big numbers.
Like some people are saying Pi could be worth hundreds of dollars per coin.
Yeah.
Others are like, it's going to be worthless.
Right. It's all over the place.
It is. So how do we even begin to make sense of its value? Like, what should we be looking at?
That's the million-dollar question. Right. And it's tough because a lot of the traditional ways we assess the value of a cryptocurrency,
Yeah.
like looking at its trading history, its market cap,
Yeah.
comparing it to similar projects,
Right.
a lot of that goes out the window with Pi.
Because it's not on any exchanges yet.
Exactly.
So there's no real market data to go off of.
Right. And that makes it a very different beast from, let's say, Bitcoin or Ethereum.
Okay.
Those cryptocurrencies have been around for a while now.
Yeah.
They've got established markets.
Right.
You can track their prices.
Yeah.
You can see how they've performed over time.
So with Pi, it's more about speculation.
At this point, yeah, it's very speculative.
So what would need to happen for Pi to actually gain real tangible value?
Well, the article mentioned a few things.
Okay.
First and foremost, that mainnet launch we were talking about.
Right.
That's going to be critical.
So they have to successfully launch on Mainnet.
Yeah, they need to prove that they can transition from a test environment to a fully operational independent blockchain.
And assuming they do that, what else needs to happen?
Well, then they need to get listed on some reputable cryptocurrency exchanges.
Okay. And why is that so important?
Because that would give Pi legitimacy in the eyes of a lot of investors.
Okay.
Right now, it's kind of like this closed ecosystem.
Right. Like you can mine it, but you can't really do anything with it.
Exactly. Getting listed on exchanges would open it up to a much wider market.
Okay. So Mainnet launch exchange listings. Got it.
And then the third thing, and this is a big one,
Yeah.
they need to prove that Pi has real-world utility.
What do you mean by that?
Like, what can you actually use Pi for? Beyond just holding on to it and hoping it goes up in value.
Right. Because right now it's kind of like monopoly money.
Exactly. So they need to show that Pi can be used to buy goods and services,
Okay.
that it can be integrated into existing payment systems.
So they need to create a real demand for Pi.
Precisely.
Okay. So it sounds like Pi has a lot to prove,
They do.
but it also sounds like it has the potential to be something really big.
It does. And I think that's what makes it so fascinating.
Yeah.
It's this grand experiment, and we're all kind of watching it unfold in real time.
So to mine or not to mine, that is the question.
Right. And I think the article had a good piece of advice.
Yeah.
Which is stay informed, be cautious, and manage your expectations.
Don't put all your eggs in the Pi basket just yet.
Exactly. There's still a lot of unknowns.
But it's definitely something to keep an eye on.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating time to be following the world of cryptocurrency.
Well, there you have it, listener. Our deep dive into Pi Network.
A cryptocurrency full of promise, but also a lot of uncertainty.
Will it be the future of finance, or will it fade away like so many other crypto projects? Only time will tell.
But one thing's for sure,
What's that?
it's gotten people talking and thinking about cryptocurrency in a whole new way.
And that's never a bad thing.
Absolutely not.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive, listener. And until next time, stay curious.